Welcome back to another episode of PSL On The Mic, the City of Port St. Lucie's official podcast. And hey, we're lucky enough to have Mayor Martin again twice in 1 month.
How you doing, Maureen?
I'm doing just great.
Good. Happy to be here.
I know, trying to stay cool. It's hot as heck out there. So we had last year, we did an episode of frequently asked questions that I see on social media as a social media manager, that you see as our mayor, calls that come into the council office, questions you see on social media. So that's what we're going to answer today. We have a bunch of questions here that we see quite often on social media. So the first one that I see all the time, are we going back to twice a week trash pickup? And we actually there was a question on our citizen survey, which I'm going to have you elaborate on. So are we going back to twice a week pickup?
So we are not going back to twice a week pickup, and you are correct about our citizen survey. We put it out there to the residents, asking them if they would like to go back to twice a week pickup, knowing that it was going to cost an approximated extra $131 a year. And 86% of the survey takers came back and said that no, they did not want to go back to twice a week pickup and to pay more annually for the trash pickup. So we are keeping our current program in place.
And just to jump back on the solid waste bandwagon, I think the service has been amazing for the past 2 years already. 2022, right?
Yeah, we're going on 2 years.
And we haven't, it's dramatically improved.
It is absolutely dramatically improved. A lot of people are very happy. I know in my household, I really only need the once a week. And also, there is the opportunity still, if you need to have an extra can, you can have an extra can and pay for that extra can and extra service if you so desire. But for the majority of residents, they've been very happy with the once a week and the once a week yard waste, once a week recycling. And obviously the bulk is still once a month. We have our Cameo site that we can utilize. I think in the future, if we are going to talk about having discussions about any changes to the service, it will probably be on the bulk side. As opposed to the solid waste side.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know it is once a month, and I always have like just one item usually, if like every couple months, but then I always forget to put it out on my second Thursday of the month. But it's to keep the city clean and beautiful. It's one of our strategic goals.
That's right.
The main one. So it's so people don't like dump their entire houses out on the curb and they don't get picked up for weeks on end. So
absolutely, and so we'll take a look at that. Our staff is looking at some different things right now, and so when they're ready to present it with the study that's being done, then we'll see how that shakes out.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
we'll offer that up to everyone. So we see a lot of comments from residents on the east side of the city. We don't do enough. The city doesn't do enough for us. Everything's in the west side of the city or the south side of the city. How do you answer that?
So I think that is a perception because the majority of the growth is happening out on the west side because of the developers and the development rights that were granted. And majority of the info lots on the east side, which is our oldest part of the city, it is really built out right now. But there are many things that are happening on the east side. We just opened Pioneer Park on June 15th, which is on the east side of the city, just below the Botanical Gardens. Floresta Drive project is ongoing right now. Our repaving projects that we do are equally balanced amongst the entire city, and our staff in Public Works specifically make sure that there's a balanced approach to that repaving plan. So our sidewalk plan as well, they take a look and make sure that there's a balance there. Also, you have to remember that with regard to City Center, we're still in our processes for that.
I believe it has a new name, though.
It does. So we just rebranded it to call it Walton Inn 1. We have some development interest out there. There's a pretty big project going on right now called Project Ebenezer.
Oh, okay.
That is in its development phase. We can't say what it is yet because it hasn't been presented to all the city council publicly yet. But hopefully that will be coming forward soon. So that is our other opportunity for redevelopment. And so it's something that has not been put on a shelf. We're actively working on it. And we're going to make sure that it continues. Also, Wilderness Trail Park, there's going to be improvements out there.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of projects in the hopper throughout the entire city. And we have a really big city. We're 121 square miles, over 1,800 lane miles of roads to operate and maintain. And so it's all of our jobs. We're elected by everyone in the city. We don't have single-member districts. So whenever someone talks about the east side or the west side, it's important to remember that we're all one Port St. Lucie.
One city. Yep.
And that the council, the staff, and everyone's looking out at the organization as a whole, but making sure that the projects that need to get done throughout are getting done.
And I didn't add this as a frequently asked question, but was Village Green recently repaved? It looks beautiful.
So thank you for bringing that up. So Village Green is a perfect example of noticing an issue and reprioritizing budgets and projects to make sure that an area gets addressed that desperately needs it. So thank you, because yes, it looks beautiful.
Yeah.
That's what we do. And it's important to note that we have our plans in place, but when we need to adapt and pivot and address certain areas, we absolutely will do that, and we take note of it. It's important, and we are listening to what our residents say.
Good. We've seen it, and residents are extremely happy about that.
Yes.
So we just broke ground on Tradition Regional Park. Just this morning, we opened Riverland Paseo Park.
Yes.
Amazing things are happening. We talked with the acting director of Parks and Recreation, Brad Keene, in a very long, extensive podcast that had so much information in it. I'm not sure how we can take it all in. But we have another park, Torino Regional Park. A lot of folks are asking questions on social media about that particular park. Now, that's like design phase. It's not even, there's no groundbreaking. There's nothing yet with that. But talk about that park.
So we approved the conceptual design of that park, and we are moving ahead now to go to look for a design build firm. So it'll have to go up to the RFP process to make sure that we're going out for that. Making sure the elements and the amenities that our residents have said they wanted and that came to the top of the list get put into that park. And also one of the aspects of it also was a very large pavilion that residents were asking for with to be able to go in and have larger parties.
Oh, okay, nice.
And so then the question became, okay, well, what else can we do when it's not being utilized? So Brad, when we challenged him on that, he came up with the idea of putting in retractable basketball hoops underneath there.
Oh, cool.
So that
Okay.
it could be used for a dual purpose. So we have walking trails going in. We have a splash pad going in. And so, again, all the amenities that our residents said that they want, we're going to make sure it happens. So we're looking probably for a groundbreaking for that in 2025.
Okay. It's right around the corner, actually.
Right. And then that park will be open probably around late 2026.
Okay.
So to have that park under design, to have the groundbreaking for Tradition Regional, to have the grand opening of Pioneer Park and then Riverland Paseo within a month's time, month and a half's time, it's truly remarkable. So we are doing our very best to get things done and keep those promises that we made regarding our parks, because parks go to our quality of life.
Of course.
It's for people of all ages, all abilities, and to make sure we're providing that. And Riverland Paseo has a 2-acre dog park, which is, I think, our largest dog park that we have of any of the parks.
Huge.
So, and do have to give credit to GL Homes for that as our partner, because originally it was supposed to just be the one phase of the park we were going to get done. But when GL saw the residents' concerns about not having enough fields, they said, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and build out the entire park. So
Good.
That was a great partnership.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That was so great. Port St. Lucie Boulevard South. Still going on. The construction, the widening. Do we have an update for residents about that project?
So I'm always open and straightforward.
Which you drive all the time.
Yes,
The
I
mayor
drive
lives
it all
over
the time.
there.
I live out there. It is the bane of my existence, as it is many residents. That park should have been done by December of 2023.
You mean the road?
I'm sorry. I'm on to.
There's no park
My
there,
mind's
folks.
going back into the parks. Oh, boy. That road should have been the 2 segments should have been complete by December of 2023. However, contractor issues have come up, as most people know, several of them. And that project is controlled by DOT. So we can push, and we are pushing.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that we are on top of it. Our public works team is on top of it. The city manager is on top of it as much as we possibly can be. And we are pushing DOT to get it done. So hopefully by the end of this year.
I was gonna say, is there a date that we can
Well,
say, or?
So the timeline keeps getting moved a little bit. I've seen a couple different things, but now it's looking like the end of the year.
Okay.
So I'm hoping and praying that it does happen, because we do also have the Tulip project to get rid of that roundabout that has
Right.
to start right after that. And then also the next segment of Port St. Lucie Boulevard South is going to start after those 2 segments are done.
And that's further south.
that would be
of
from
Par?
The next segment will be from Alcantara down to Par.
Okay.
And that roadway does need a lot of love. And so we're hoping and praying, like I said, every day that things are moving along. I have seen a little bit more activity out there of late. So, again, we'll just keep doing our best to push them to get it done.
Okay, good. This goes into the next question we have about traffic. There's a lot of
Yes.
people here now.
Right.
We have a lot of projects going on, though.
We do.
Yeah.
We have, like I just mentioned, the Tulip project's going to happen to deal with the roundabout, taking that out there.
And that also came about, too, I think, because a lot of residents were very upset about the way that was constructed, and everybody took what
Yeah.
they were telling us, and we're changing it.
Yeah, and to
because
be
of that.
honest, when we put that roundabout in, so I was a little concerned about it, because sometimes engineering doesn't meet reality.
Yeah.
And so I was looking at it from the realistic side and the utilization. And so it was recommended, it got put into place, but from a functional standpoint, it's just not working. So we did listen to the residents' concerns, and we are making the changes, but we wanted to make sure that the Port St. Lucie Boulevard section got done,
Of course.
so
Yeah.
as not to create additional traffic issues and problems. But we have so many projects going on. We have the Gatlin, Savona under design right now, because changes need to be made to that intersection.
That is that turn lane, right?
Yes.
Okay. We get a lot of questions about that.
Absolutely. That is under design. You'll see repaving on Savona going into the fall and into the beginning of next year. Floresta Phase 3, they're working on that right now.
And that's the portion, whatever's left, all the way to Prima Vista?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have the startup of feasibility on what we're going to do with regard to St. Lucie West Boulevard. We have California being addressed through our half-cent sales tax. So we have infrastructure and road projects in the hopper all the way out to 2050. And what's most important is a lot of the funding we're getting in through our mobility plan is paid for by developers.
Right.
So what we're going to do later on this year, the goal is to get as many projects designed as we possibly can, and then go out to bond for the construction of those projects. And we're waiting to do that because we want those design funds or designs done. So when we need the money to bond it, we can start automatically utilizing it and get those projects off the
Okay.
ground. And what's great about that is since we have the funding already for to be able to pay back the bonds, we're going to use the mobility fund as the collateral in order to
Oh, okay.
pay back the
a
bonds.
good idea.
Because we want to, like I said, get as many road projects done as possible. Doing it one here, one there. A lot of people, and that's a good point. A lot of people say, why don't you finish one road before you start another one? Well, again, we're 121 square miles. We have over 1,800 miles of road to maintain and address, and we're different from other cities. A lot of other cities have state roads running through them, county roads running through them. We do not. So we have to address our infrastructure issues because we were planned. We weren't set up for this many people. So we're keep working tirelessly to address as many infrastructure projects and get as many things done as we possibly can, from small roundabout projects all the way up to widening and extending roads.
Like Floresta, per
Like
se.
Floresta, exactly.
Right. Okay. So believe it or not, we still get a question about asking for a bridge to the island from
Yes.
Walton Road.
I see that all the time. That topic's
We-
been going on for many years now. So the city of Port St. Lucie does not own any land that would facilitate another bridge over to the island that we would have control over. All that, any land potential is owned by the county and controlled by the county,
Okay.
St. Lucie County Board of County Commissioners. So, if they want to embark on another bridge crossing, that would be up to the county commission to decide, not the city of Port St. Lucie.
There you have it, folks. I saw that question just the other day. I believe like 2 days ago.
Yes.
So, another question that I saw today. Why can't we open more schools?
Well,
The
because
city can't, but
no, because we don't control the schools.
right.
A lot of people that have moved here from other places, they come from areas, even where I grew up north, where the city controls the school system. We do not. We have 67 counties in Florida. They're all, the counties control the school districts. And so they have their own organization. They have their own elected board to make decisions. But we do partner
Yeah.
with the school district in order to make sure that where the locations are for the schools and whatever needs to be addressed from a utility standpoint or infrastructure standpoint, we do partner and work with them. They plan out their locations based on population and where the needs are and where the overcrowding is. And so we do work in concert with them in planning for, like, knowing what's planned for their future.
Exactly.
But we don't have any direct say or control or authority to build any schools.
And they just have, is it Legacy High School?
Yes.
Out in Tradition. They just had a groundbreaking for that, I believe.
I think it was several months ago.
Yeah.
That school is well underway.
Yep.
And so that's the high school. And then the next phase is going to be a K-8 school that they're going to be building. And that's going to be in Western Grove, which is in the Tradition area,
Okay.
very close to Tradition Regional Park.
Okay. And another thing that we don't really have control, we don't have control over at all, are bus stops. We get that question a lot too.
Yes.
Like, why did you put a bus stop here, City of Port St. Lucie? We don't have control over that. Again, that's this county school district.
That's the county school district.
Okay.
We do work with them, especially if there's any issues regarding the bus stops.
Sure.
But we don't have any control of where they are.
Okay. A lot of residents want some things to do for teens, and our newly formed, actually, can we say it's newly formed? Because I think we've had it for a year now. Our youth council has done some amazing things already. Can you elaborate a little bit about the change that's sort of happening with youth council?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this was our first inaugural year. We got amazing kids on
Yeah.
board and just got them integrated with city government and gave them some opportunities to go to Tallahassee and to really learn about city government and what we do. And so at the end of what we consider their school year or their year, one of the things I talked to them about is, okay, now that you've been in and you know how everything works, now I'd like you to actually, going forward to this next year, come up with some recommendations that you can bring forward to the city council about what you would like us to do about teens, and bring some recommendations forward, develop some policy, and let's have a conversation with the city council about where we need to go in the future. It's really important to get their input and buy-in. And as a result of us going out for new applications, we have 45 kids who are so interested now.
That's
It was
awesome.
11 members, but now we have 45 great kids who are so interested in being a part of it. And so we're going to have them work on a bunch of things. We're going to have some subcommittees. We're going to let them be their own organizational ruling body and really bring forth those ideas that we can work to implement here in the city.
Awesome. And they already brought the Big Summer Blowout.
Yes.
And then there was a Halloween teen event. I'm not sure if they had input in that, but I know Parks and Recreation, CJ, he's trying to get more teen activities developed as well. And I know that the Youth Council is going to have a hand in that.
And
So,
their Citizen Summit, too. They had their
Yep.
own booth.
Yeah.
So they can talk to their peers. And so I think because it was so successful the first year is why we got such great buy-in from all these other kids. And so, I mean, sky's the limit, right? So we'll see what they bring forward, and we're gonna continue to work on it because we know it's important.
Yep. And they obviously got the word out because we did get over 40 awesome applications. So,
And then going back to other things that we are working on that we know that is important. So there are some teens that like the alternative recreation, like our skate parks and BMXing. And so in Tradition Regional, we're going to have the adaptive all-wheel parks. You
Yep.
can skateboard, you can BMX. And then in Torino Regional, we're going to have a skate park. And we promised that. And we know a lot of teens are interested in the skate park. And we're actually going to bring in our local skating community to help design that park.
Oh, cool.
It's very
That's
important
awesome.
to hear from our kids and the adults too.
Yeah, and their parents, yeah.
And their parents and everybody about what they want to see in that park. So
cool.
it's
I
gonna
didn't
be
know about
wonderful.
that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Speaking of parks, we got a question today or yesterday about why can't we have a water park in Port St. Lucie? I know that idea was kind of thrown around a few times, but it's pretty involved.
It is.
Yeah.
So there was a feasibility study done like 20 some odd years ago. And then a few years back, we did another feasibility study. And the numbers that came in order to build, operate, and maintain a water park like you would see up in Orlando, or even a smaller park like you would see down at Rapids.
Right. I was
in
saying the
West
one at Riviera
Palm,
Beach. Yeah.
or even a water park that you would see at Sailfish Splash in Stewart. The costs, the operation, and maintenance of those types of facilities is astronomical. And from a city government standpoint, it's really not something that we should be embarking on because of those high costs. And so what we're trying to do now is make sure that we're listening to residents and we're implementing water features in our parks, like you see at Pioneer Park.
Right.
We have our Banyan Basin. It's amazing. In Torino, you'll see a splash pad. And then for future parks, there's opportunities to put in some more water elements. But we're not going to do a full-blown water park because it's just too costly.
It would have to be more of like a private company would have to come in
Absolutely.
and do that.
It's better to let the private companies who know what they're doing
Yeah.
and to be able to maintaining water apparatus and equipment is so expensive, and you have to have a specific knowledge base in order to do that, and really have to have expertise. And so, if a company comes in the future and says, hey, I want to find a place to build it,
Yeah.
and then we can have those conversations. But as far as operation and maintenance from a city standpoint, Parks and Rec division, it's really not something that we should take on. And for the people that say, well, you can charge a fee, sure, we can do that. But those fees would have to go up every year in order to address the inflation and the maintenance costs. And then, of course, you have to pay more employees in order
Right.
to operate it. And it's just really not something that we should be committing our service dollars to.
But at least we're listening. We are putting features in
That's
various
right.
different parks.
That's right. We are doing that. We're making sure we address it in a way that we can that's sustainable for our city government and our Parks and Rec.
Okay, good. So homeowners insurance is a huge topic right now, but unfortunately, I don't think the city has a say in that. And car insurance as well. People ask us questions about this all the time. Is there anything the city can do? And if not, who controls that?
So, nope, the car insurance rates obviously are on a national level, but they also take into account, what's happening in the region, in the area. Same thing with homeowners insurance. We have no control from a city standpoint. The state does have some control. They've made some changes in the last session, but you can argue back and forth whether those were enough or not. But it's really up to our state government to make additional changes to address anything with regard to homeowners insurance. Even though we didn't really have anything here, what happens on the national level, what happens in other parts of Florida does have an effect. on what our rates are. But going back to the car insurance, so I just saw recently a report that was put out by Allstate
Okay.
that made comments about that Port St. Lucie has some of the worst drivers.
Oh, I
So
saw
let's just
that
hit it
too.
head on. Okay, so where does that information come from? And I could speak to when I got Geico recently in the last year, because I'm just like everyone else. My insurance rates are high, so I have to shop insurance as well.
Oh, you mean the mayor's insurance rates aren't lower than
Nope,
everybody?
mine are the same as everyone else. There's no special treatment just because my title is mayor, and that's the way it should be. But so I had Geico, and my whole family got on them, and they had the Drive Easy plan,
Okay.
and that's where you download their app, and it tracks how you drive. And it
Oh.
tracks whether you're making hard stops. It tracks a whole bunch of different things. So, and then it gives you a rating, and you get a discount if you drive well, if you're a good driver, if you're following the traffic laws. If not, it'll tell you where you're failing or not doing so well. If
Oh.
you're holding your phone, it tells you that you're holding your phone. So that's the data. All that data is received, and then they take a look at that, and your bill could go up as a result. I actually got a discount because my family, we had good drivers. There were a couple times where I saw some yellow lines for my kids who are early 20s, and I said, hey, you got to make sure you're being a responsible driver here. And so it's really up to all of us. We can't control everything,
Yeah.
but we all can control how we drive and drive safely as much as possible, and, offensive and defensive driving. And so that data showed that our drivers have some work to do for the ones that are on the Allstate plan, but that data is good information. And
Yeah, of course.
so if we're all doing a better job of the way we drive, our rates will go down as a result.
Right.
And so hopefully everyone does that. It's hard. I know everyone's in a hurry. We have a fast-paced environment. A lot of people are angry with everything that's happening in the economy, all the different reasons. But we all have to remember that what we do affects everybody else as well, or
Yes.
can. And so it's better just to all work together to try to keep some of these numbers down as much as we possibly can.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we have come to the end of my questions. Are there any questions that you frequently see or receive emails or phone calls about?
Sure. So we'll hit on two.
Okay.
The two main topics, well, one has been for as long as I can remember is stores. We want more stores. We want more restaurants. Well, they're coming. If you drive around the city, and again, it's a big city, so I know some people have a habit of staying in their area. But if you drive around the city, you are seeing more mom and pop restaurants pop up. If you look at the Gatlin corridor and see
Yes.
the
Yep.
shopping centers that are being built there. So we're seeing those mom and pops, and that's great. We want to see the small business. You're seeing some smaller retail establishments, all in tradition, obviously. That whole area is blossoming. We have had a developer come in wanting to put in some entertainment districts. He is trying very hard to recruit some different types of restaurateurs and or shops. So I think we're going to be seeing that in the future.
Okay.
But it's also important to remember, in order to get the commercial, you need to have the residential, even though people don't want to hear about the residential. But rooftops drives commercial business, and that's what we need for sustainability. So we are going to continue to see that going forward. And it takes time.
Yeah.
So everyone needs to be patient. The development rights are there. We can't take those away. So just to hit on growth again, there's still a lot of topics out there and questions about why can't we stop growth. And again, there's development rights that were granted. We cannot change it. It's going to continue to come. It has slowed down. If you take a look at our numbers in terms of the amount of permits being pulled,
Yeah.
the amount of certificate of occupancies being issued, we have seen a slowing, which is good.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the slowing, and we're happy to see it because it helps our organization a little bit, maybe slow down just a tad,
Yep.
be able to breathe a little. But we're going to continue to grow. And we're going to continue to see, though, the city evolve and change, and we'll see more of that retail following the residential. The other topic, and it's 50-50 in terms of whether you like it or not, or whether you don't.
Can you guys guess?
So I've seen probably 15 posts about the Heart in the Park, or I like to call it really the Heart in the Plaza, out in the Tradition area. It is a signature interactive public art sculpture that was being brought to the city by an artist called Joffrey. Mm-hmm. And he is world-renowned. Mattamy is paying for this art. The city of Port St. Lucie is not paying for it. It is going to be maintained by the Mattamy and the CDD, not by the city of Port St. Lucie.
Thank you for saying that.
Then the other topic that comes up is why don't they build something else instead of the public art? Mm-hmm. Well, under our land development code, our comprehensive plan, no different than any other city, especially in major cities, they all have a public art component to them, and public art enhances culture in a community. It also can be destination points,
the gathering spots,
which all cities have, and so it's really going to be a signature art piece, something different that we've never had before, and the developer has the choice to pay for the art and on their own and choose it, obviously subject to the approval of council, mm-hmm. or pay into the public art fund. And Mattamy chose to build this interactive public art sculpture by that artist, and so they are paying for it. They could not have built anything else. They could not have in their requirements. It was, this is what you have to do. You have to give us land for parks. You have to make sure you're giving land for school sites in your development agreement. You have to pay into the public art fund as per our comp plan and our city codes and ordinances. That money can only be used for that purpose.
Yes.
You can't build homeless shelters. You can't build schools. Can't build, or if they so choose to build different things, they can build whatever they want, of course, but this is a requirement. And so that is why that money has to be utilized for that purpose.
And nothing else.
Okay. We can't shift and rob Peter to pay Paul, shift funds around, say we're going to do this, that, and the other thing. I know those are all questions that are mm-hmm. out there, but that is why. If they want to build other things, we're happy to entertain what those are, but they pretty much will stick to what they're required to do.
Sure. And it is going to be beautiful.
It is.
It's about a quarter of the way up. They I think from the bottom about a little bit quarter of the way up. And
yeah, the two curves where the heart is, mm-hmm. Where it curves at the top, the curves are in. I think one piece came on Monday, and so they're still hoping for their timeline for Valentine's Day. Yep. They're working on that to see if they can get that done.
Makes sense.
And so we'll see. Another thing I saw was that a part of it looked burnt on the side, that they were welding. It's not going to stay like that. It's under construction.
Right.
It's going to be completely done when it's done, and it will be the stainless steel structure that it is.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a lot about sun glare and birds flying into it and all of those things. And I don't think there's going to be an issue with sun glare.
No.
It's very high up, not in the line of sight, mm-hmm. unless you look up at it. But I don't see that as an issue.
At least when you're driving. Yes.
At least when you're driving. Maybe when you're standing up looking at it.
Yeah.
Just everyone give it the opportunity to get done and finished.
Exactly.
I think a lot of people will enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And see that some of the misnomers or misconceptions that they have about it will not be there any longer. As far as the plaza, it will be interactive. Obviously, it will be a public gathering space as well. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be great for our city.
Yeah,
at the end.
I like that. Just let it play out. Mm-hmm. Just let it get finished. Mayor, I think that was probably all you had, right? Those were your two questions that you seem to be getting all the time. Thank you for joining us again. I know you like to do the FAQ podcast with us. So maybe we'll have one again in another couple months.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Always looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks,
Great.
Mayor.
Thank you.